Welcome to Deborah's Boundless TV show, where we love to interview people who are finding the way to create freedom in their lives. I'm your host, Deborah Chelette-Wilson, and today I am very pleased to introduce you to Tamika Johnson, who is a licensed professional counselor in the state of Texas, and she is also the co-founder of Inspiration on the Move. Hi, Tamika.
Hi,
I'm going to do that
that's
again.
okay. How are you today?
I'm great. So tell us a little bit about you and what you're up to these days and where you're
Well,
from.
I'm originally from New Orleans, Louisiana. I came to the Texarkana area as a result of Hurricane Katrina. So I've been here since 2005. Many doors have opened since then. So I was able to um, start working, go back to school, get my master's in counseling psychology, and became fully licensed as an LPC in 2012.
That's wonderful. Now, do you have an active private practice now in Texarkana?
Part-time, I do.
Mm-hmm. And tell us a little more about your organization, Inspiration on the Move. That sounds really interesting.
Well, Inspiration on the Move is an organization a faith-based organization that I co-founded with a friend of mine in New Orleans, but we brought it here to the Texarkana area. We've done several projects with children, young adults, family members, just trying to make sure that they understood that they don't have to go through things alone. And so the thing is that the scripture Exodus 3:14, I am has sent me to you, is kind of like our theme. And so it's not so much that you have to have one thing going on in your life. It could be anything that we can help you try to address and cope through, get through. So we've done kind of like a family mentorship program. That's the latest thing. So for the past 2 years, we've done nurturing families, whereas that's families of different backgrounds, whether you were single parent, mom, single parent dad, grandmother who's taking care of her grandchildren, or what's considered the complete family, the mom and the dad and the children. We wanted to make sure that we nurture them, wrap loving arms around them, so that they can know that they don't have to walk through life steps by themselves.
Well, that sounds wonderful. As of course, I'm an LPC too, and I work with families. And that, do you find that families are struggling more now than what you think in the past?
It depends on how you look at it. I think there is more of the non-traditional families going on. I've found in practice there's more grandparents and great-grandparents who are raising children for various situations going on with their biological parents. I also find out that there are more single men who are raising children, whereas before, I don't think they were actually allowed to raise their children. And so they're being put in this environment to get help and services for their children, but the system is not as willing or as kind to assist them as one would think they are.
Really?
Yes, I'm sorry, but I've talked to several fathers who were saying that when applying for assistance for their children, or for them and their children, they received the cold shoulder. A lot of them were faced with skepticism. Well, why are you taking care of the children and why not their mother? Some of them, the mother may have been incarcerated or abandoned the children. and they felt that it was better for them to raise their own children versus allow somebody else, another family member, or the system to raise their children.
Wow. So they're stepping up to the plate where their children are concerned.
Yes, they are.
Well, that's interesting because I haven't really heard much about that. So do you think that's a changing trend where more men are going to be raising their children?
As far as changing trend, I think there has been many men who have taken care of their children. They're just not given the credit for it. And so the acknowledgement, I think, is a new trend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I've experienced some of that with some of my clients as well, as they're men raising children. It's something I guess you don't think that a mother would abandon their children, where their dad would have to raise them. But I'm finding more and more that's happening. So that's a kind of a new twist in in the changing of times that we live in.
Yeah, we have to be more prepared. Make sure that we check our own biases, because it doesn't do anyone any service if we have issues with men raising children.
I think that's so true. In, you know, when you work with other people, I think it does, at least in my experience, it's lend itself to me growing as a
Yes.
human being. And so sometimes I've got to, you know, kind of check in with myself and see if there's some places that I need to grow, which is, of course, I'm into a lot of growth and development across the lifespan. I just didn't know it was going to be the way that it's been, that it is really an ongoing process of
Yes,
life, but one that I
is.
find, yeah, but one that I find it's so enriching and enlivening, and it really brings me a lot of joy in growing and finding out there's so much more to me, even, you know, and there's so much more to other people than we first may judge by just, you know, judging that book by its cover.
Right. Exactly.
There's a lot more. Yeah, there's a lot more in that book. And speaking of books, you also have written a book called My Spirit Opened Up, 10 Years to Freedom. Tell us a little bit about that. That sounds interesting.
Okay, well, like I had mentioned earlier, that the reason why I came to this area was because of Hurricane Katrina. And 10 Years to Freedom has to do with the 10th anniversary. It was published in 2015. It's a collection of poetry that was really a healing process for me. Many people thought of Katrina as being a really horrific idea, a tragedy that happened to the Gulf State area. For me, though, it was kind of like an answer to a prayer. I had been feeling stuck and wanting to get out and spread my wings, so to speak, but I didn't necessarily know how to do that. And so, in a way, it was like, well, your cocoon opened up, that you mature in certain areas in this place. Now I need you to go out and spread your wings, kind of fill up with life in a different area. And so that's what a lot of the poetry is about, how there are things that were happening back then, and how I was brought out of different situations.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that was a traumatic situation for a lot of people, and yet even out of traumas can come a lot of growth. And like you say, kind of opening up the cocoon of where you're at and kind of opens you up into a new place, not necessarily how you wanted it to go. So one of the poems that I really like, I would appreciate if you could read it. It's called The Butterfly Decision Number One.
Okay.
Would you read that to the audience
Okay.
that you wrote?
Okay. Butterfly Decision Number One. The moment I decided my cocoon was no longer necessary, the struggle to keep me wrapped up and bound in a darkness that held me captive ended. For years, I pushed and stretched, but I recognized this type of captivity was not ordinary, because it has not only held me physically, but also emotionally and spiritually. The decision to be free, though, was already placed in my psyche, the result of seeing a glimpse of what was promised to me. I only have to keep pushing past this bondage so I can spread my wings.
Oh, I just love that.
Thank you.
I just love that. Yeah. And really your book is full of inspiration. As I was reading your poems, there were so many that I really connected with. And in one of your poems, and it may be the title of one, lay down your mask to pick up your crown. That just gives me goosebumps.
Ah, yes. I actually wrote that in tribute to a class of growing and developing that I went through. Is dedicated to the Women of the Divine Image and Identity class. And it's pretty interesting because we, for the most part, we wear masks. Things that we have placed on ourselves to try to cover up what we've gone through. So we don't really want other people to know this is who I really am. I don't think you're going to like the real me. So we put on these masks, and sometimes it's layers and layers of things that are placed on us. Mm-hmm. But in order for us to be who we truly are, we have to take all of that stuff off. It reminds me of kind of like the woman or the man, the person who puts on night cream or a day mask or what have you, and you have to go through this process of scrubbing and peeling the old skin, and the dirt and the grime all comes off. But then what are you going to do? And so to pick up your crown means that once you've getting all that stuff off, you're no longer bound. You're able to walk in a royalty that you were created to be in. And so it's really, it's a step of faith, pretty much, to take off all of that stuff that you were, or you wanted people to think you were, to say, no, this is the real me. I'm not this person of inferiority, that I'm actually a person who's royalty enough to wear their crown. Not a fake person, but the real me is just royalty enough to wear their crown.
That's beautiful. That is just really beautiful. Now, also understand that you're writing another book.
Yes, actually, I'm in the process of doing 3 book projects. It's kind of like one of those things when you start writing and you're like, well, would this be better if it was a separate project? And so 3 different projects came out. I want to do a second edition of the book, My Spirit Opened Up, 10 Years to Freedom. And then I'm also working on a book about lessons in life and love. And a third one happens to do with conversations with God. And it's a series of poetry in volumes. And so well, for me personally, I feel that that we can have that conversation, that it's not a one-sided thing, that we can say things to him and he responds, whether audibly or you knowing something to be so, or a gut feeling. And so it's a collection of poetry focusing on some of the answers that he has given me in response to some of the life questions.
Well, that sounds exciting. So how can people keep up with you? How can they find out how to connect with you and kind of keep up with your writing and know when things are coming out?
Well, several ways actually. I have a Facebook page, Inspiration on the Move. Also, there's the book has a page itself. My Spirit Opened Up. In addition to that, I have a blog, which is under Inspiration on the Move, or you can find it underneath my name, Tamika Marie Johnson. Also, you can reach out to me via telephone or text. Telephone number is 903-884-6722. And if I don't answer it, you can also, you can leave me a message by voicemail, or like I say, you can type a message and I'll respond to you very quickly.
Okay, that sounds great. Well, Tamika, thank you so much for joining us today on the Boundless Freedom Show. Obviously, you are very consistent with the theme of being free in ways of getting yourself free and being able to inspire other people to find freedom in their lives too. So thank you for being my guest today. And again, everyone, remember boundlessfreedoms.com is the website where you can contact me and find out about the products and services that I offer that also helps people learning to find freedom in many, many ways. Okay, bye for now.
Bye.